There are moments in the history of a monarchy that do not announce themselves with fanfare. No trumpets sound. No crowds gather. No cameras capture the precise instant when something fundamental shifts inside the walls of a palace. And yet, those quiet moments often carry more weight than any coronation, any jubilee, any grand ceremony broadcast to millions. What happened recently inside Buckingham Palace was exactly that kind of moment. Understated on the surface, yet profound in its implications. King Charles III, in a move that caught even seasoned royal observers by surprise, signed a royal order granting his sister, Princess, and an elevated designation tied to the role of regent. The action was not accompanied by a splashy press release or a carefully staged photo opportunity. It surfaced quietly, the way the most consequential royal decisions often do, tucked into official documentation, written in formal language that most people would scroll past without a second glance. But for those who understand how the British monarchy communicates, who know that every title, every appointment, every piece of ceremonial language carries layers of meaning, this was anything but routine. To understand why this matters, you need to understand the woman at the center of it all. Princess and the Princess Royal has spent her entire life doing something that is remarkably rare inside royal circles. She has worked, not performed, not appeared, not smiled for cameras and called it a day. She has genuinely, relentlessly, without complaint or fanfare, worked. Born on August 15, 1950, and was the second child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. From the earliest years of her public life, she displayed a character that set her apart from almost every other member of the royal family. Where others leaned into glamour and leaned into duty. Where others cultivated public personas carefully designed to generate affection and simply showed up and did the job. Her record speaks with a clarity that no biography could improve upon. In 2023 alone, she carried out 457 official royal engagements, a figure that exceeded even the king himself. That number was not a fluke. It was consistent with a pattern she had maintained across decades. Year after year, Princess and has topped the rankings of royal activity, attending charity events, visiting hospitals, supporting agricultural organizations, and representing the crown in countries around the world. She holds patronages with over 300 organizations. She has visited more than 70 countries on behalf of the British Crown. And she has done all of this while maintaining a composure and a discretion that the modern media landscape constantly tries to erode. She does not give revealing interviews. She does not cultivate friendships with journalists. She does not release carefully crafted social media content designed to rehabilitate her image. She simply works because, in her understanding of what it means to be royal, work is the entire point. Her bravery is also part of her legend. In 1974, an armed man attempted to kidnap her on the Mall in London. When he ordered her out of her car, her response was characteristically direct. She told him, in language that needed no interpretation, that she had absolutely no intention of complying. The kidnapping attempt failed, and walked away and resumed her schedule. That moment, more than perhaps any other, captured something essential about who she is. She competed as an equestrian in the 1976 Montreal Olympics, becoming the first British royal to appear as an Olympian. She raised her children, Peter and Zara, without bestowing royal titles upon them, a deliberate and thoughtful decision that allowed them to live with a degree of normality that she herself never had. This is the woman King Charles turned to. This is the woman he elevated. To understand the weight of what Charles has done, it helps to understand the constitutional framework within which the British monarchy operates, particularly around the concept of regency. A regent is someone who exercises the powers of the monarch when the sovereign is unable to do so, whether through illness, incapacity, or absence. The regency acts that govern this arrangement have deep historical roots. They exist precisely because the continuity of the crown is not merely symbolic. It is functional. The business of the state requires a head. When that head cannot act, someone must step in. Historically, regency powers have been among the most sensitive and carefully guarded in the entire constitutional system. They are not handed out casually. They are not assigned based on popularity or proximity. They reflect deep institutional trust, careful legal consideration, and a judgment that the person receiving them has the character, the judgment, and the absolute reliability required to act in the name of the sovereign. The Royal Victorian Order, through which Charles elevated Princess and his husband Sir Timothy Lawrence to Knight Grand Cross, sits within a broader picture of the king making deliberate, calculated moves to position those closest to him as pillars of institutional strength. But the designation touching on Anne's role in relation to regency powers goes further. It signals that Charles, who has been managing a cancer diagnosis while continuing to carry out his duties, is thinking very carefully about continuity and stability. Princess, and is already a Counselor of State. That designation, expanded by a 2022 Act of Parliament precisely because Prince Harry and Prince Andrew were no longer working royals, allows her to represent the king in certain official functions when he is abroad or unwell. But what Charles has done now appears to go a step beyond the existing framework, formalizing and elevating her role in a way that reflects both personal trust and institutional necessity. The context in which this decision was made matters enormously. The British monarchy is, at this moment in its history, carrying a weight that would have been difficult to predict even a decade ago. King Charles ascended the throne in September 2022 following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, whose 70-year reign had given the institution a stability that was, in
retrospect, almost impossible to fully appreciate while it was happening. Her consistency, her longevity, her absolute refusal to be drawn into controversy had served as a kind of gravitational force keeping everything in orbit. When she died, that force disappeared, and the institution had to find a new equilibrium. It has not been an easy process. Charles received his cancer diagnosis shortly after becoming king, a fact that was eventually disclosed publicly, and that changed the calculus around royal continuity in a very immediate and personal way. Catherine, Princess of Wales, also faced her own serious health challenges, stepping back from public duties during a period of treatment and recovery. The working royal family, already reduced by the departures of Prince Harry and the sidelining of Prince Andrew, grew smaller still. Against this backdrop, Princess Anne has been extraordinary. She has not merely maintained her schedule. She has expanded it, filling gaps, attending events, representing the crown in situations where other members of the family were unavailable. She has done so without complaint, without seeking recognition, and without ever suggesting that she expected anything in return. Charles knows this. He has watched it. He has relied on it. And now, through the language of royal formality, he has acknowledged it in the most meaningful way available to him. The bond between King Charles and Princess Anne is one of the most genuinely close relationships within the House of Windsor, and it has been built over a lifetime of shared experience that few outside palace walls can fully appreciate. They grew up just 2 years apart, and during the years when their parents were frequently traveling on royal duties, they relied on each other with the particular intensity that siblings develop when the adults in their lives are often elsewhere. That early closeness became something more durable as the decades passed. It survived Anne's 2 marriages, Charles's complicated marital history, the death of their mother, and the various crises that have periodically shaken the foundations of the royal family, and is, by multiple accounts, one of the very few people in Charles's life who speaks to him with complete honesty. She does not soften her opinions to protect his feelings. She does not tell him what he wants to hear. She tells him what she thinks, even when her assessment runs contrary to his own inclinations. For a man who wears a crown and is surrounded by people whose professional function is to manage and smooth, that kind of honest engagement is genuinely rare and genuinely valuable. At his coronation, Charles gave Anne the historic title of Gold Stick in Waiting, a ceremonial position with roots going back centuries, originally designed to provide physical protection to the monarch during important occasions. The gesture was deeply symbolic. He was placing her, literally and figuratively, at his side during the most significant moment of his reign. What he has done now, in signing the order relating to her elevated role in the Regency framework, is a continuation of that same impulse. He is placing her where he trusts her most, at the center, in a position of genuine responsibility, with the formal authority to match the trust he has always placed in her personally. Royal observers have noted that the timing of this move feels deliberate, even strategic, in the most considered sense of that word. Charles is not a man who makes impulsive decisions about matters of constitutional significance. He spent more than 7 decades preparing for the role he now holds. He understands the institution he leads with a depth that is unmatched among those currently within it. When he acts, particularly in areas touching on succession and regency, he acts with intention. The elevation of princess, and within this framework, sends a message on several levels simultaneously. To the institution itself, it signals that the king is thinking seriously and responsibly about continuity. He is not simply hoping that his health will allow him to manage indefinitely. He is making provisions, building structures, ensuring that the machinery of the crown can function even in circumstances that he cannot fully control. To the broader royal family, and to the palace staff and advisors who support it, it signals that Anne's authority is to be respected not merely as a function of her personal relationship with the king, but as a formally recognized constitutional reality. And, to the public, it offers a quiet reassurance. In a moment when the monarchy has faced questions about its future, about its relevance, about the thin bench of working royals available to sustain it, the emergence of princess, and in an elevated formal role, is genuinely stabilizing. She is trusted, she is experienced,